part. There you go. Ooh, we all got it. We all got that.
I should have probably wait, I got to do my whole speech all over again. Hold on.
No. So here's what I want to talk to you guys. And I really do want you guys to ask me questions. Because I'll take it anywhere you guys want to go, because you're on this call to find out certain things. You're on this call to help yourself. Here's what I thought about the last couple of years. Let's face it, 2020, what a year that was. Oh my God, right? We thought the real estate was going to crash. We all did in the spring of 2020. I admit it. I told everybody it was going to go down the tubes. And then we found out the pandemic was almost like the roaring 20s, where everybody said, you know what? Dang it. If I'm going to catch something to kill me in a month, I'm going to move wherever I want to move, right? I call it the pandemic of no regrets. And I still have people moving to Puerto Rico saying, you know what? I've always thought about moving to Puerto Rico. I said, when? Well, you know, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I thought, well, if I'm going to die, I'm living there, right? So 2020, the year ended unbelievably good. 2021, repeat of 2020, right? So we've had 2 years. I thought about this, Dave, this morning. We've had 2 straight years of uptick. Now I talk to agents and guess what they tell me? Not enough inventory, Gene. I mean, I hear it from almost every call I've had. We used to have 4,000 listings. We now have 400. We used to have 400 listings. Now we got 40. I go, well, how's it going? They go, oh my gosh. So now you might be feeling a little pinched to yourself. And then of course, what did we get announced? What, a couple weeks ago? Can't wait to raise those interest rates, right? Woohoo! We get excited when we're in real estate and they say, yeah, we're going to raise interest rates to slow stuff down. So here's what I want you guys to start thinking of this year. You've really got to start changing what you're doing. I think we've had a couple good years of, oh my God, it's been easy. I hate to say that. I'm going to use the word easy because I've talked to tons of agents. They've sold more real estate than they ever have in their life. I was watching a Denzel Washington clip the other day. If you guys want to get motivated, just start looking at motivational tapes. Every shower I take in the morning, I listen to a motivational tape. Either Simon Sinek. I love Steve Harvey. I just do. I love Steve Harvey. I love Denzel Washington. I love all the ones when you just pull up motivational tapes, you'll get them. Denzel said the other day, this is the best quote I've seen in a long time, David. Ease, when it's easy, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. It's just been too easy. I've been seeing it. I've actually been seeing it. I'm going, because I've talked to agents who go, Gene, I just sold, oh my God, I've never sold 60 homes in a year. You know, I used to sell 20, you know, and when it's easy, sometimes we get in that slide mode where we're not really progressing like we should. Like you said, we're not reading that
fighting to build.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just not getting out of mode. I love hardship. I hate to tell you that, man. You know, you guys go sell 6 Keller Williams offices in a region. Go try it. I did it 6.5 years ago. Go try it. I got news for you. Hardship's kind of fun. It makes you really focus really well.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I want you guys to think of. Almost if it's really easy for you right now, I want you to pretend like it's hard. I want you to go back and go, what if I couldn't sell a listing tomorrow? What would I be doing? What if you know, how many buyers do I really have stacked up? Because without inventory, whew, you better go get listings, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about that. What do you guys need help with? I mean, I just think that even with EXP, I talk about EXP all the time. We are killing it. This is a movement. This is not a little thing. This is a movement.
Well, let's talk about that, Gene, real quick.
Yeah.
You know, the EXP movement itself. And I think a lot of people logged in today to really understand agent attraction, really do it at a high level. Many people joined the company for all of the wonderful that it has, the great split, the great cap, the technology and everything else. But agent attraction is one piece that very few members of the company are actually doing at a high level. And so how should the agents be thinking about this? How should they be taking this approach? Why is it important? And you know, you just mentioned right now, like, you know, it's it's an easy market, but what happens when it gets rough again? Where's the backup?
Well, where's the cash flow?
Yeah.
So where's the cash flow? Here's what you should be doing. You should pretend like it's just super hard and you need cash flow. That's how here's the problem. You guys come over from another company and what do? What comes naturally, what you've been doing for 10 years, 6 years, 5 years. You go, I'm going to sell homes first. I won't do that rev share thing until I get my business in line. I've heard it over and over again. Guess what? You're going to sell homes, guys. You need to look at rev share as your safety net. And you got to pretend like you got to go get it right now. I think urgency is something, Brent Gove and I talk about all the time, and Dave Conord, we do too. You've got to pretend, you got to become urgent about it. How do you do it? You just got to be a good inviter, Dave. You really don't have to do the whole presentation as much as invite him, right? Invite him to hear the model. Watch the model with them on a Zoom, press play. A lot of people go, well, I don't know what to say. And I said, well, here, watch this. Tick. Get your little finger out and you hit play and you watch it with them. We think that's the best way to do it. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. The ones that have the most appointments win the game. It's nothing more than that. Everybody thinks Kevin Cottrell and I can talk about it. I'll let him talk about it when he gets on. But the bottom line is we've always talked about this. I want to have the most appointments than anybody. I don't have to be that good at presenting it. I hit play. I let Brent Gove do his thing.
Yeah.
I don't try to redo it. I just press play and then I stop it every 10 minutes. Hey, did you understand that? Stop it and do that. So you got to be urgent. I call it being kind of obsessed. Try selling everything. Believe me, I was obsessed.
Yeah.
I had to make this work. If this didn't work, I was really in trouble.
What advice would you give to somebody who's like, they're selling real estate, they're doing okay, they're doing great, but they're like, okay, I need to start working on this rev share thing. Like, what advice would you give them so that they can begin working on it at a high level?
Here's what, because if you're a good producer, you're very consistent, you're very disciplined, you've been doing the same things all the time to make sure you're successful. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a half an hour a day and do attraction. Just a half an hour a day.
It's not a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, half an hour, you're going to make phone calls. You're going to text people. You're going to somehow invite them to an event to either look at the model or do lunch and learns, right? If you have a lunch and learn in your area, which I think are very, very important, you and I've talked about it.
Yeah.
Then you invite them to the lunch and learn. I think it has to be consistent. It's like exercise. You can't get healthy exercising one day a week. If you exercise 5 days a week, all of a sudden it builds up. So I would take a half an hour, just be consistent. And then you'll go to an hour. All of a sudden you'll like it. And you'll go, Gene, I'm doing this for an hour. And then you go, oh, Gene, you know what? I'm doing this for 2 hours a day. This is actually more fun than listing homes. Yeah. I'm listing agents.
Yeah.
Right. So I know how hard it is to break away from what you do really, really easy and well. I used to sell 120 homes a year when I was selling 3 years in a row. I picture myself going, well, why would I step out of that and do attraction? Well, so you can live in Puerto Rico. So you can own a boat. So yeah. No way. So you can actually not look at the right side of menus. Yeah. So you can really not look at what the gas price or get mad at your kids because the electricity was left on and your electric bill's too high and your water bill's too high. And you worry about the little things. And quite honestly, I haven't worried about a little thing in a long time. It's because you're not looking at income.
It's freedom.
It's freedom. It's freedom to live your life however you want. To make a airfare late. Like if David called me tomorrow and said, Gene, I need you here in Miami. I got a special guy. I need you here in a couple of days. Could you fly out for a day? Yeah, dude, I'm there.
Can you touch on the importance of third party? Because you did mention like start for a half hour, but most people just don't understand the pitch. Plus, pressing the button is going to work only for so many people. Like, and I've had some powerful like stories with third party this week alone. And so the importance of third party for you, like the agents utilizing the people in their circle, their sponsors, their sponsors, partners, their business partners to talk on this.
Man, if I had Dave Conord as my partner, he'd be on every call with me. Right? If I had David Kurz on in my organization, I'd have him. I'd be abusing you, dude. I would making sure I'd say, look, I'm scheduling 5 appointments for you next week. Boom, boom, boom. 1 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Just count them in. I'm going to fill it in for you.
That's exactly the word I use, by the way. When I talk to our organization, I go, abuse me, people, abuse me. The
ones that have done that to me, David, the ones that have done that to me are the ones that are up on stage.
Yeah, I want to be tortured into freedom.
Yes. just hammer me. And the ones that did it, they don't do it for that long. You do it for a while and you torture me for a month or two, and then all of a sudden I don't hear from you again. What happened? They got really good.
Yeah, they got really good at it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, Gene, man, thank you so much for being a part of this. It means the world to me, and it means the world to everybody up here. I really appreciate you very much.
Love you guys. Definitely, keep it going, man. Hollywood, keep it going. Woo-hoo.
Appreciate you, Gino.
See you, David. Take care, my friend. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to introduce you guys to another special friend of mine, Dave Conord, who's an amazing person. If you don't know, Dave Conord is a former president of growth at EXP Realty and just all around superstar. His history, the things that he's built, the companies that he's helped build, and now what he's done with EXP over the last few years. And now Dave's doing what we're doing, which is being passionate about the growth of the company and building his network. So Dave, I'll put it on you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be here. And so fun. I love what Gene had to say. I could listen to him all day long. And it's interesting that Gene and I have a similar background as far as, what we were doing before growing brokerages. And I look back and, the math sometimes is staggering because it adds up over time, time on task over time. But, I go back and look at things, I directly recruited over 2,000 agents, right, during my time when I was growing brokerages, for my own brokerages. And so those numbers came, and those weren't leveraged like we are here at EXP, right? Those were hand-to-hand combat. So those came from over 40,000 cold calls, right? I don't know the exact number, but I know my percentages, right? So I break down my percentage. I know my ratios. Over 40,000 cold calls, right? And those resulted in.
But hold on, let's not scare anybody. 40,000 cold calls over how long?
10 years.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
If somebody was like, Dave, I can't do 40,000 phone calls next week.
6 months. 6 months. Yeah. So, and I'm not necessarily, telling you that's what you need to do. I'm just, what I want to drive home to you is, those 40,000 phone calls resulted in 6,000 face-to-face meetings. Okay. So 6,000, 1 hour plus meetings where you talk to agents about their business. You talk to them about what keeps them up at night and what their fears are. You talk about what they're working on, and you talk about commissions and everything else. What you do get from that, you pick up a lot of skills, right? If you do enough calls, because I talk to a lot of people that are starting out on this and they go, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to ask. And so I'll tell you, with 40,000 plus phone calls, I learned what to say and what not to say on the phone at some point, right? And when I met with people, I learned what to say and what not to say. I met with someone and thought I had a great meeting and I never heard from them again, right? So you learn like, okay, let me go back and figure that out. So you pick up a lot of skills and a lot of systems that you kind of do. But what you really learn with all those conversations, if you pay attention, is you learn motivation. And motivation is so much more important. People don't move. They don't change companies for facts and even for dollars. It's very rarely about, you're not going to get somebody into a corner and explain them into changing a company, right? Changing companies, right? It's not the way that it works. Yeah. So making a change, doing something that's hard or doing something that's uncomfortable, it requires a heart and head need for something, right? It's what keeps you up at night. And so this is really important to know about the agents that you're talking to, right? You have to uncover What is it that's that important, urgent need that keeps them up at night? What are they afraid is going to happen, or what do they really want to happen this upcoming year? And how do you help them with that, right? But let's talk about you for a minute. Let's talk about all you guys. All the skills, all the plans, your agent lists, and even your wealth charts, right? They will not help you be successful at agent attraction if you are not connected to your own motivation, right? If you phoned in, like even people go, yeah, I did my vision board. Well, if you phoned in your vision board, right, and you did all kinds of pretty pictures of beaches and cool cars and all that kind of stuff, that thing's going to do you no good, right, if it's not really tied into what's important to you. So I want you guys to just bear with me for a minute. Everybody just close your eyes. Close your eyes. All right, just stop for a minute. Close your eyes. If on January 1st, 2023, okay, roughly a year from now, you had $50,000 to $60,000 a month. Oh, all right, we got some music background. All right, if you had $50,000 to $60,000 dropped into your account, or dropped into your bank account, right? And it was growing every month. Okay, I just want you to think about this happening. You wake up January next year, you got 50 to 60K dropped into your account, and it's growing every month. So that by January 2024, it's 100,000 a month. Okay, this is happening. What would you just think about that actually happening, right? I just want you to picture by next year, whatever you do this year, by next year, you've got 50 to 60K coming in passively. What would you immediately stop doing? Just think about that, like really think about it. If you had that coming and you knew with confidence you had 50 to 60K and it just kept getting bigger every month, what would you stop doing? Is there anything in your life you would stop doing? And that includes worrying, right? Would there be some things you'd stop worrying about? Would you stop, like Gene said, would you stop looking at the right column of the menu, right? Are some things that you would stop doing? Okay. I want you to think about that. Are there some things that you would start doing, right? Would you do things differently in your life? Okay. Now I want you to picture when it's in 5 years, if it's $200,000 a month or more in your account every month like clockwork and still growing. How's your life different? How is your life different? Is there a legacy that you're leaving? Is there something that that you'd be doing? Who else would that impact in your life? Who else in your world would that impact? Would that impact an organization that you have a partnership with, or that you have want to support? Would that impact your kids, your family, your parents? Would you retire a spouse, or retire your parents, or pay off a house, or have college and weddings paid for, grandkid stuff, family trips, whatever it is, all that, the security that is there and all of those things. I want you to really picture your life. I want you to picture that. It's not about the dollar amount. Okay. I just want you to picture that amount flowing into your account and growing every month with that security, and how that changes your mindset. And what does your life look like? The cars and all that kind of stuff are fun. Okay. But what does your life look like, and what's your mindset? How are you feeling? How does that impact you? All right. There's a saying, it's, you have one life, just one. Why aren't you running like you are on fire toward your wildest dreams? I love that saying, because sometimes we're so passive about it. We want it. We would love that. Okay. But I think before you worry about the skills, Gene, he talked about urgency, and he talked about just set aside a half hour every day and make those calls. When I talk to people so often, they go, well, what do I need to say? Give me a script. What works? You're looking for the silver bullet to make it work. And what I can tell you is, if you care about people, if you care about helping other people succeed, and you're curious about what makes them tick and what they're worried about and what their goals are and where they're trying to go, and you're committed to either helping them or connecting them with, a way for them to achieve those goals, they're going to want to be in business with you, right? And so there is no magic script, because you're dealing with a human, you're dealing with different people. Every time you sit down with someone, you have a different person. Yeah, over time you find it's better to say this than that, and that sort of thing. There are skills that you build. You like building your muscles over time, where you learn how to do it better and better. But the bottom line is that if you don't tie in those actions with the outcome and have a burning need to get there, when you picture that life and what your life could be, right, 5 years from now, right? If you don't tie into that, this isn't practice, this is real life. Lord willing, you're gonna wake up in 5 years, right? So what's your life, when you wake up 5 years from now, what's your life going to be like? The things you're doing today are going to determine how your life is when you wake up in 5 years. And I just think that, really, I would encourage you to do a vision board if you haven't done one. And if you've done one and it was surface level, go back and redo it. Picture your life, really look at the things in your life that, the stress that's there, other things that are there, other things that you worry about, or any of those, the negatives, and then think about some of the positives and other ways that you could impact the people around you and the world around you in your own life. Picture that, and really picture that, and hone in on the things that are super important to you. And they should become so strong and important to you that it keeps you up at night. You can imagine yourself living that life, and now you can't stop and you can't rest until you've built it, right? Until you get there. Bring other people into it, whether it's a friend, a spouse, your kids, whoever else's lives could get impacted by this, other people in organizations where you say, I want to be able to do this for you guys. And unless I do this over here, that isn't going to happen. And they're going to be like, great, how do we push you? How do we hold you accountable? How do we come along this ride with you? Right? And then go after it and don't sleep. Then it's a matter of, how many lives do I need to change in order to create the change in my life that I want? Right? Those are the number of agents that you need to talk to, and how the organization that you want to build where you're changing lives. Now you're pouring into those people and you're finding them. Now you're on a desperate hunt. If you had a child who needed an organ transplant and you could not find an acceptable donor for your child who was going to die, I don't know about you, but I would go around the world knocking on doors to find that person. It would be all over social media. I would do anything I could do to find those people and to talk to enough people to find the one, right? So talk to enough people. Not everyone needs to move companies. Not everyone wants to move companies or is interested in it. That's okay. Find the ones who are. Build relationships, talk to enough agents, ask them if they're interested in the opportunity to change their life. Some people are going to be interested in that. Find them, talk to them. And that's when you get the third-party validations, and you bring others in and you share with them this community of people, and you say, hey, you get a chance to come into a community of people that have a vested interest in your success. We're here to help you. You can be a part of this, right? And I will tell you, the last thing I'm going to say is that I sucked when I started. My first couple of phone calls and my first couple of appointments, actually probably more than my first couple, I was horrible. It was horrible. I fumbled through things. I didn't know what to say. I said all kinds of dumb things, right? I over-talked, right? I had the sale and I talked myself right out of the sale, right? I did all kinds of dumb things.
I had the most famous Marine Corps answer ever given. I don't know the answer to that question, but I will find out for you.
Exactly. It's exactly right. So you can't break it if you care about the people. If you have commission breath, if it's just about the money for you, that's going to come across. But if you care about people and you want to change lives and you're looking for people who want to change their life, you will match up with those people, right? You're going to get back what you're putting out. So find those people, and it is a numbers game. You just have to talk to enough. So I want to know who's going to talk to 40,000 people. Right? Come on. Now, if you had 2,000 people in your front line, I don't know what your organization would look like, but you'd make Gene look like a pauper.
Yeah. I'll tell you, this is super powerful, Dave, man. Thank you so much for this. I wrote a couple things down, some takeaways that I had, and hopefully you guys can jive with these takeaways. But one of the things was, where Dave said, don't have commission breath, actually like care about people, right? Like I'm actually gonna get a picture of you and put don't have commission breath and post it somewhere. But like, yeah, and just when you care about people, there's a saying that says giving creates a better life by default, right? And so if you just give as much of yourself as you can, you're going to find that your life by default is going to be just amazing in all levels, right? And so if you actually care about people, this is not about, hey, get in my front line because I need to open up to my next level, right? If this is about, hey, dude, like if you come in here, we can work together and both our lives will change. Not just mine, yours as well, right? The other thing you said was like, don't worry about the scripts and the this and the that. Just start making the calls. Take action in your life and in your business. And I heard earlier, I think it was yesterday, I was listening to Mark Cuban speaking about how when he first bought the Mavs, and he said perfection is the enemy of progress, right? Because he said it didn't need to be perfect. It just needed to happen. And when they asked him, he said, what'd you do? What's one of the first things you did when you bought the Mavs? He said, well, we had no season ticket holder base. He goes, so I got a list of all the former season ticket holders. I put them on my desk next to a phone and I started calling them. And the interviewer said, what? Like, what do you mean you started calling them? The owner, the billionaire of the Mavericks. And he said, that's right. If I don't do it, who else is going to do it? Right. So he said, I called them up and I said, hey, this is Mark Cuban, new owner of the Mavericks. Want to see if you're interested in coming back and checking out the arena. And that was all the change and all the difference. So what you're saying to everybody here is, pick your warehouse, right? Like that's another thing that we talk about. Like, what's his name? Oh my God, Elon Musk, he's building cars. He's already a billionaire and he was still sleeping at the warehouse.
Right.
Because God forbid somebody got sick, he got on the line and fixed it, or if he needed to figure out that next space shuttle to get us to Mars, he was in that place for forever. And so, pick your warehouse, sit down, get on the phone and care about people. That's huge, Dave, man. This was super powerful.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share.
Thank you so much, Dave. All right, guys. Tuning in. I'm so excited that everybody's on this right now. And I hope that you guys are taking a lot away. If you enjoyed this chat with Dave, go ahead and chat in the chat box. Thanks, Dave. And so we can move on to the next person. If you have questions, remember, just put them in the chat box and I'll get to them. I'm paying attention to it right here as your VJ over here. So the next person that I'm going to bring is Mr. Kevin Cottrell. Kevin Cottrell is an amazing guy. He is my sponsor into the company. Kevin is relentless, has the most amazing follow-up that I've ever seen in my life, has the calmest demeanor I've ever seen in my life, which almost makes him like a ninja. Like I'm scared of this guy sometimes, but he's amazing at what he does. He mentors me. I speak to him just about everything that I'm doing. And when I joined EXP, man, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for someone like Kevin who's going to really say, hey, I'm going to change your life. And he really has. So first of all, thank you for that, Kevin. And show's yours, man.
All right, perfect. Well, Dave Conord, I think I might have known less than you did about recruiting when I was sent down to Miami to run that big office by Gene and the crew. So, I mean, I literally had never run a recruiting appointment. And so just a quick story. So to tell you that anybody can do it, Gene has me come up to Dallas because I have requested it. And Dave Conord and I are one of only two people plus Don Yoakum that have ever gone to shadow Gene when he was a team leader. And so during the 2 days I was with Gene, it comes out that I'd never run a recruiting appointment and I don't speak Spanish or Portuguese. And for those of you from South Florida, here's the gringo Kevin going from Texas to South Florida, take over a big office and recruit. So I remember when I was done with Gene, he said, well, what's your plan? I said, I'm going to get to know agents. I'm going to figure out who's a match by doing a needs assessment. And I'm just going to do that more than anybody else so I can have a ton of people say no and still succeed. And literally, Gene and I talked at an event. 6 months later, he goes, well, how did it go? I said, well, I started with 75. I'm turning the corner above 250. I'm going to be closer to 275. And he goes, how the heck did that happen? You know, he goes, I wasn't doubting you, but you don't speak the language. You aren't from the culture. How'd you do it? I said, I did nothing but meet with agents, help agents succeed and follow up. I literally did nothing. My leadership in my office was like, you don't do anything else. I'm like, well, there isn't anything else. You guys want to be profitable and do this. And so I brought that into EXP. And, you know, with Gene, I literally followed him around. But what I want you to take away from this is, it really is that simple. If I can do it with agents whose first language is everything from Russian to Portuguese to Spanish, and they think I'm Gringo Kevin from Texas, you can do this in your local market. Don't ever doubt yourself. But people that followed me around, including my OP from the office and other people, were like, well, that isn't what we see team leaders being trained to do. They're like, you're asking them all sorts of questions about them and their business. So those of you that have watched videos about attracting agents, and Dave Conord will certainly know what I'm going to say next. You've heard Gene 1,000 times or 10,000 times. Start a meeting or a conversation with, tell me about yourself, and then spend 10 or 15 minutes learning anything and everything they can about them. I still do that when I have conversations at EXP. I had a guy from Dallas call me today. I couldn't even remember his name because I talked to enough agents. And I asked him, I said, this guy, Alex, what made you decide to call me back? Haven't you been contacted? And I followed up with him a few times and never got him live, never got a response to texts or anything else. And he said, you were the only person out of everybody who's ever talked to me about EXP that actually took some time to understand what I was looking for, what my real estate business was about, and what was going to be important to me in picking the right brokerage for my business, even if it wasn't EXP. He reached out to me and I asked him, I said, how many people have contacted you about EXP? He goes, well, I don't know, 15 or 20. So think about that. How are you going to differentiate yourself? And so I want to give you a couple of tips and tricks here because there's some easy stuff to do that we miss. I'm not in production anymore, you know, much like Gene and some other people, but for those of you in production, don't walk past your opportunities. If you're doing transactions, brokerages have an entire system for team leaders, and Conord knows this. You know, there's an entire system built in the ecosystem we came from, where every agent that closed a transaction would fill out a sheet of paper, tell you about the other agent, things that would help you further your exploratory conversation with them. And when I talk to agents in my organization that are in production, and I ask them, well, tell me about the agent that you want me to talk to. And it's like an agent that has an opportunity for a listing, right? They're like, oh my God, it's $800,000 and the seller wants to be on the market by the weekend. And I'm like, why are they selling? Where are they going to? What's important to them? How quickly do they have to sell? We do the same thing with agents. It's like, oh my God, she's an $8 million producer. She would be perfect. She could be an icon agent and all this other stuff. And I ask them questions. I'm like, tell me about her business. What's important to her? Why would she even consider changing brokerages? What do you know about her and her personal situation? What's important to her? And I bet you 9 times out of 10, I get production, what market they're in, and things like that. And if you're not spending the time to learn about the people you want to talk to, when they ask you about EXP and you turn around and start firing off information about EXP, instead of building a little bit about that relationship, there's an infamous story that Kurz says every time he gets to get up on stage. He had an entire meeting with me for about an hour. I never mentioned EXP, but the path for us to have the relationship we have today was started in that first hour I spent with him. And I knew I could not go take a guy that was highly successful with an independent brokerage and go in there and pivot in 5 or 10 minutes and say, all right, let's talk about EXP now. He would have been polite, but that would have been the end of it. And then every time I tried to follow up with him, he would have been like, nope, no. But what did I learn? I learned about him, the Marines, his lovely wife, Jen, everything about the family, everything about his business, how it worked, why he's successful, how he got to 200 agents. You've got to have that kind of depth in relationship. And, Conord talked about that, right? He did all those calls and then all those appointments. And it doesn't matter where you're starting from. You need to be able to actually do it as a matter of course. So my tip for you, number one, is don't throw up about EXP just because they said, hey, how do you like EXP, right? You tie it into some things you can talk to them about and ask them about their business. And do it in such a way that they feel it's genuine. You can't just ask 2 questions and then pivot right over to EXP. But don't miss out on people on the other side of transactions. Don't miss the cues that they're impressed with you, the professionalism. They've seen enough people move over in your market to EXP that they want to know more. And I'm going to give you a perfect story of an agent in Florida. She came from medical sales. She is wound tight, high strung, has all sorts of challenges because of that, right? It's kind of the whole squirrel thing. But I just slowed her down because she said, I don't know what to do. I've done all these transactions, right? Her first year in the business, she did less than $1 million. Her first full year of the EXP, she's an icon agent. She did 14 million. We've got her in Mastermind. She's part of the system. She's like, everybody's asking me, oh my God, you were over at this other brokerage. You came over to EXP, you went to 14 million. I'm like, Deb, what are you telling people? And she says, well, I don't know what to tell them. I said, tell them your story. Tell them about what happened to you, how you were struggling, how you're succeeding. So then my second tip for you is, what is your story? What has EXP meant to you? How are you going to explain it in a way that actually is compelling for them to say, oh my God, I want to know more about that. You really went from 700,000 to 14 million in a year and a half. How did that happen? It allows you to talk about EXP in a way that's much more impactful than just saying, let's go through the slide deck. Let me explain to you. It's an 80-20 split, a $16,000 cap. So when Deb started doing this, she inadvertently recruited like 7 or 8 agents by doing nothing but telling her story. And they're like blown away. And then they say, I want to learn more. So what do you think I taught her next? Don't go dive off the diving board if you don't know how deep the water is. You haven't ever done this all the way through. We're going to do 3-way calls with them. I taught her how to edify, bring me in, and we did a bunch of calls. We got 8 agents from doing the calls. She's at the point now where she can get the basics done, and she still goes to a third-party call with me. And she's probably less than 6 months away from wanting to do it. It's a big part of her business plan now. She's like, this is actually easier than some of the production side of the business. So for you and others that have people in your organization that are slugging it out, and she said, I was so overly concerned about this that I was afraid to do it. I was afraid to say something wrong. I didn't know the script. She's like, I know now how to explain EXP in my story, and then ask them questions about their business and build a relationship, and then raise my hand and get you involved. That is the process. So you should know who your leaders are you can get. You should be utilizing them. David Kurz likes to talk about being abused. You are by no means abusing. We just have been in the trenches longer and had a lot more conversations. Don't try and go it alone. That's another great tip. The number one thing, and I'm sure Conord's seen this all along, the people that try and slug it out, figure it out on their own and never ask for help, that's a lonely place, and that is very, very frustrating. Don't do that. You can call any of us. I mean, if you've got a great prospect, you told your story, you've asked them questions, just know if you call Kurz up, you call Conord up, you call me up, you call Gene up, we're going to want to know about the agent. And if you don't know anything about them other than their production or how excited you are about getting a big producing agent or an icon agent, or whether they do, next to no production, we're going to want to know something about it to help. Now, Building an Empire by Brian Carruthers has excellent content about how to edify, how to do that. You and your party, you're going to do your 3-way calls, need to be scripted. You should not get on there and do one of 2 things. These are the 2 biggest mistakes. Get on there and talk and talk and talk, and then there's no logical step to hand it off to the person you have on. So if I was doing this with David Kurz, I would want to edify him and build him up to the point where they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I get a chance to talk to David. I know enough about him about why it's important. And then David's going to jump in with what I've prepped him with about further needs analysis and find out what's important for them and what they want to talk about, right? It's the Gene Frederick, tell me about yourself. What is important to talk to us about today? What are you most interested in, or what do you have questions about, right? Those are those calls that are impactful and powerful. And just realize you're going to make mistakes. There are going to be certain calls, Conord alluded to it, where you look back and you're like, oh my God, that was no fun. Nothing's going to ever come of it, but that's part of the process. You need to be able to do that. You need to be able to ask questions and do it in such a way that they really feel like this. And I had it happen again this week, not just the guy from August. I was talking to an agent on a follow-up call because I very frequently break my calls up into two things. The very first call, I'll spend 10 minutes with them and talk nothing about them. I mean, just about them, nothing about EXP, excuse me, and just really understand it. And then I get their commitment that I'm going to give them something to whet their appetite and answer questions. Now, I've obviously done it all the way through with agents, especially if they're imminently going to make a change. But then I build a plan. David talked about relentless follow-up. I could tell you that when I met with David and then I had my second conversation, and then I got Conord and Gene to commit to fly into Miami, I had a whole conversation with them about, here's how this is going to play out. This is what I know. This is what the motivation is. This is what we're going for. And we're going to walk this through several steps and processes. And this is what the key items are that we're going to end up covering during the meeting. And it was a fairly smooth process in terms of the process in doing that. It doesn't matter if you've got a solo agent, a mega agent with a team, you've got to have a process and ask for help. So I do want to do what Gene did, which is stop for a second and see in the next couple of minutes if you have specific things or questions or things you want me to cover. Because much like Gene or Dave Conord or David and I, we could talk for hours about this stuff. Not only are we passionate about it, but I want to be respectful if there's a couple of key things or questions you want to ask.
You guys got questions? Yeah. If somebody speak, oh yeah, if you got questions, put them in the chat box. I want to validate Kevin's story a little bit, because I want you to keep in mind that Kevin came to speak to me and then speak to me again. And then we formed a relationship, and then we became friends. And then we had the conversation, and then he brought he brought Gene in and Dave in, and it was like one after another. And I'll never forget sitting with my former partner in that hotel lobby, sitting across in a hidden corner because everyone knew us in Miami. So I was afraid to get caught having a conversation. And we're sitting across from Kevin and Gene. And I asked some really good questions, and then I asked some really stupid questions like, hey, Gene, what's it like to earn $500,000 a month? Right. And so, it just having these conversations, we were just so intrigued that when we walked away from this conversation and we went back to valet to wait for the car, I just remember looking at my partner and go, are we really doing this? Like, we have to do this. We have to do this, Nick says, how do you talk to a current KW owner of multiple market centers about switching?
Well, here's what I would tell you is I want to touch on this from the standpoint of what's called in the franchise real estate business, tortious interference. So that is where you're effectively assisting somebody or coaching somebody through the process to break their franchise agreements. That's the fastest way to end up in litigation. Don't do that. You should raise your hand and go to someone at a very senior level in your organization. In the case of your organization has Dave Conord in it, get with Dave before you contact them and have a conversation about what it is. It is a very difficult process, and it really shouldn't be done cold. This is not like cold calling an agent, right? Sometimes you get referred to them. Sometimes, like I'm dealing with right now, I've got a guy that owns some Remax franchises in Florida, and some of them are they're in the free look period. They're in the out of franchise. Those are fine. But when they're in their franchise agreement, even if they're in the free look period, you need to go to a Conord if you're in that organization, or get with David Kurz and I, and we'll engage Gene. It is a very careful process, and you should use extreme caution. There has already been litigation from companies like Remax when they felt like they were tortiously interfered with. And the settlements are big dollar amounts. These are very expensive to fight. You are not going to make people happy if you decide to be something like a ninja and spur it up, because the franchises are waiting for us to create an environment where they can bring people to court. So just use caution.
I think one of the things that I'd like to follow that with, Nick, is I don't know if you have a relationship with the person, but maintain or develop that relationship, and then reach out to a senior person in your, you know, we're not supposed to call it upline, but you know, your business partners, look at your business partners, see who your senior person is. Is it Kevin? Is it Gene? Is it Dave? And reach out to them and say, hey, I've got this person, you know, I have a great relationship with them. Okay, so Nick says we have a relationship. He reached out to me. Yep. All right, time to bring somebody into that conversation, Nick. So just reach out to one of your senior guys and see how you can really develop the third party, fourth party, fifth party conversations with this one.
Yeah, there are some questions that a franchisee can ask you that you have to be answered very carefully and or answered in such a way where, you know, for example, they'll ask you a question that the answer would be, you should seek your advice of your legal counsel, where it would be something you could conceivably answer, but that's the answer. And you can still get through the process, but that's why you need like a Dave Conord or a Gene or somebody that is very well versed with this. In Dave's old role as president of growth, he's shaking his head yes, has had numerous of these conversations. And I undoubtedly think that Dave has probably said hundreds of times, that's a great question for your legal counsel. They can advise you about your current agreement. Don't send it to me. Don't ask me about paragraph 13 as it relates to
your agreement.
Yeah, and they do ask you about it. Yeah. So just use caution and get help.
And the less you know, the better. Do not like ask them to send you a copy of their agreement or anything else. The more data you have, the more you get entwined in that situation. So don't just, Kevin's giving you the exact right advice, but I'll just throw out there, don't like say, yeah, send me your agreement. We'll take a look at it.
And most importantly, Nick, don't be afraid. Just be careful. That's it. Just be cautious, be careful, and use your partners to help you, create that, that conversation. You've got the relationship. They've already reached out to you. So now just kind of bring it home, utilizing the people that really know how to take this step by step. I hope that helps out. All right, Kev, man, David, thank you so much for doing this for us.
My pleasure.
As usual, you're amazing. So guys, I'm going to take over for a few minutes if you don't mind. And I'm going to talk to you guys about a few things that I find are important and I want to share with you guys. And I actually wrote down some notes because, I went to Puerto Rico and I had an opportunity to speak. And for some reason, they put me up first after Gene Frederick. And I was a little nervous and I wrote all these great notes down and I put them up on the podium and I walked away from my iPad and never looked back at it. And I left like 40% of the stuff out of my conversation. So thanks again, Kevin, for helping us out with this. So I'm going to come to you guys straight off the bat. Something that hit everybody in Puerto Rico and hit it home was get out of your bubble. And I'm going to talk about that real quick because as a former broker owner, I owned an independent brokerage here in South Florida, for those of you that don't know me on this call. And we were 3 offices and 202 agents strong when we decided to transition to EXP Realty. And it was a crazy time. We're moving. It was a lot of fun. And one of the biggest things that I've realized in this process of owning a brokerage and transitioning into EXP, so both sides, like understanding both sides, was that I needed to know more than the people that were in my backyard. I needed to learn from people that were outside of my bubble. And so what I started to do was, if I saw that there was a mastermind happening in California, I would fly to California and join that mastermind. If I saw there was somebody that I knew that I considered to be extremely intelligent and a hell of a business professional was meeting up with another equal type person, it happened to me in Minnesota, I fly to Minnesota to be a fly on the wall. And the reason for that is because everybody in your neighborhood knows you, right? There's this old saying, I think Dave and I talked about it the other day, the the prophet can't preach in his own village, you know? And so you gotta get out of your bubble, get out of your safety zone, go somewhere else and start speaking to people outside of your area. I live in Miami. 100%, I'll tell you, the majority of the people that we attract to EXP are not in Miami. The majority of the people that we're reaching out to are outside of Miami. They're in Virginia, they're in New Jersey, they're in New York. And it's an opportunity for someone that doesn't know you to get to know you. You get to develop a new relationship, and it's not preconceived notions that somebody might have in your backyard. So get strong about it and think about getting on an airplane and getting out of your bubble. Okay, that's one piece I'll give you. Next piece I'll give you is collaborating with other EXP agents for exposure. Exposure is a big thing. If you're trying to become a big attractor, right? You need to be out there. You need to make noise. You can't be a secret agent. You can't hide in a corner and hope somebody sees you. You actually have to put yourself in position to be in front of people like we are right now. You know, when I reached out to Kevin, Gene, Dave, Jay, Jeannie, Jennifer, when I reached out to all these folks and I said, hey, can you come do this with me? Answer was yes, right away. Because they understand that the more that they do this, the more exposure is given to themselves, to their partners, to the company, and the more growth that we have working and collaborating together, right? So don't feel like, oh, this person's, you know, not in my organization, or, you know, that's all garbage. You have to help each other out, and you have to have that culture, that system. You know, Jay and I, we do a clubhouse together. I mean, I got invited by Jay. He's got his group. They're all in Cali out there. He says, Dave, you want to be a part of this? I said, sure. And he invites my partner, Jeanette. Come on in. Let's do this clubhouse here. Why not? Collaborate with other EXP agents. Work with them. I get calls all the time from people that say, hey, I'm transitioning a brokerage into EXP. Can you help me have a conversation with them? And my answer is always 100% yes. Will it benefit me in my downline or my commission or my revenue? No, none of that matters. None of it matters. It's that collaboration of that helps the culture of our amazing company stay strong. So I'll give you guys that. Social media presence. If you're not present on social media, you need to be. And, you know, listen, do what you got to do. My wife is so cool. She decided to do a reel, an Instagram reel, one a day for 30 days. And I really do have a strong feeling that this is going to last for about 722 days. And so she's having fun doing it. She's tripping out about it. She laughs at herself. She runs around the whole house showing everybody her new reel, right? Point is, she's creating so much massive exposure for herself and putting herself out there that people are starting to watch her reels. What happens when they start watching the fun stuff? They start to see the rest of the stuff that you're posting, right? So when you're out there on social media, don't, like, I forgot who it was. I think it was Davis. Don't vomit EXP everywhere, okay? Like Gene once said, don't go EXPing on everybody's leg, right? Like, just go out there and be who you are, because people are going to want to develop relationships with you as a person, right? And people like to work with people that they are comfortable with. So as my wife Jennifer is out there doing these reels, guess what happens? I start getting interested in doing some reels. So now I'm doing more reels, right? Now I love to post on social media. A couple of days ago, I posted my 4,000th Instagram post, okay? And so, and I looked at my wife, said, I have no idea what to post. Like, I wanted to be special. So I just posted the number 4,000. That was it. There was no better way to scream 4,000 than just putting the number 4,000 across a black screen. And that was enough. And it was great. And it got engagement and people spoke to me, and it had nothing to do with EXP or just listed or just sold or look at me. It was just simple. Wow, what an achievement. This was a lot of fun, you know? And I've started to do some reels and things of that nature, and people comment on the reels, they talk about them, and creating that social media presence allows us to have more than one conversation at a time. Think about that for a moment, right? A lot of the things that you've been hearing today is have those conversations, create that consistency, speak to people all the time, make those phone calls, you know, do what you need to do. But how do you get to the phone call? And that's the thing that a lot of people oftentimes leave out. How do we get to the phone call, right? And getting to the phone call, it sometimes is the hardest part. The phone call is easy, right? And so being present on social media, and that's whatever it means for you. People ask me all the time, what's the best? And all these social media experts got all the great answers. You know what the best one is? The one you use, right? It's the platform you use. Is it LinkedIn? Great. Is it TikTok? Great. Is it Twitter? Great. Is it Instagram? Great. Facebook? Great. Is it all of them? Fantastic, right? I use just about all of them. And my LinkedIn is my least used. And guess what? We're trying to build business here, and I'm using the least one I'm using is the business platform. But I'm developing relationships with people. People reach out to me, right? I got a message the other day. One of the agents here in South Florida reached out to me. She said, hey, can we meet on Monday for a cup of coffee? I said, sure. What's on your mind? She said, I just want to ask you some business questions. How much you want to bet? She's going to ask me, hey, man, tell me more about EXP. I'll put money on it, right? She's going to want to know because we're showing improving our success, but I'm also showing improving who I am. And if she likes me, great. And if someone doesn't like me, you didn't want to work with them anyway to begin with, right? And so going back to the way that Kevin and I created a relationship and why I was so uber comfortable making this huge move of shutting down 3 offices and closing down my company that's logo tattooed on my forearm, right? And going through all this process is because I had a relationship with him, and because I developed a relationship with Dave Conord, because I developed a relationship with Frederick, and I knew I was in good hands. And that's how you want people to feel when you approach them. As you begin to push out content on social media, be yourself as much as possible. Be who you are, right? It doesn't always have to be 5 tips to sell a house and 5 tips to prepare your home and that boring, you know what I'm saying, right? Okay. Track or third-party validation. We talked about that quite a bit, and that massively important. This week alone, I'll tell you what's happened. First thing that happened was Jen Gomez, who's one of my business partners out here in South Florida. She had somebody that's very interested in coming over to EXP, and she's had multiple conversations with them. And she decided she wanted to have that third-party validation to kind of close the chapter with this person. And we went out for coffee, and it was great because I was a different voice with a different life, with a different why, with a different approach. And it gave him the opportunity to listen to her why, which you're going to hear in a few minutes, and then listen to why I did it, right? And for me, I'll tell you exactly why I did it. I did it because pound for pound, dollar for dollar, it made sense. 100%. It made business sense to come to EXP and grow an organization at EXP that wasn't only in Miami, Florida. It was an organization that I could build in Texas, in New York, in Virginia. And if you know me and you look at my dream board right now, my dream board has a private jet with my logo on the side of it because I love to travel. So please, God, if you're in Italy, join my organization because I need to come out and help you do a lunch and learn, okay? You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that really get me going. And so I also wanted to create freedom for my family. That's my why. Freedom's my why. I want to create freedom for my family. I want to look at my wife. I want to say, hey, we're going anywhere, anytime, any place you want. Like, let's just go. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do that for my kids, right? This year, thank God, because of the position that we've put ourselves in, we're going to Japan. I'm taking my kids last year fell in love with anime. This year, we're going to Japan to check out anime. Why not? Those are the opportunities that my kids will grow up with, and they'll never forget those lifetime experiences. Those are life experiences that I'm giving back to my family through my efforts with this amazing company. And that's the stories that I want people to hear from me. I want them to hear why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I look at my wife who works 15 hours a day and go, yeah, we're going to scale that back to 6, and then we're going to scale that back to nothing. Right? I want to look at my mom and say, hey, listen, here's your new house. No, you don't have a mortgage, Mom. Here's your new house. I want to be able to do that. That's important to me. Family is my everything. Right? So I wanted to share that with you guys. And then my other third-party validation piece was well, with Jen Gomez, we went and we spoke and we had this conversation, and it's fantastic. And now the gentleman for sure 100% is going to join. She stays in contact with him. We're going to rock it out, and he's going to grow phenomenally with us. And he looked at us, both team leaders, both team owners, right? Different teams. And he said, I want to grow a team. And we both looked at him and said, yeah, we can help you with that. We got your back. We'll coach you through that, you know? And then the next piece is I have a conversation on Monday, and the gentleman picks up the phone, and I said, hey, you know, we had a scheduled call to talk about EXP. My name's David Kurz. How are you doing today? Good. All right. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Just tell me about you. I was like, oh my God, where am I going to go with this? So I started to think, how can I pull? How can I pull? How can I pull? And I said, well, you know, I joined EXP October 2019. I had a brokerage with about, 200 agents, 3 offices, and we were, you know, open for 3 years and been in the industry 15, 16 years. He says, yeah. Okay. All right. What about the company? I said, well, you know, I was in the Marine Corps prior to that. So, you know, and all of a sudden he went, what? You were in the Marine Corps? And I said, yes, sir. I was in the Marine Corps. He goes, I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was a Naval Seabee. I said, you were a Naval Seabee? I was stationed at the Seabee base in Port Hueneme, California. He said, no way, man. Oh, you were in the Marine Corps? I got a great story for you. And for the next 25 minutes, I'm listening to amazing Vietnam stories about his experience being a Naval Seabee with the Marine Corps in Vietnam. And that to me was gold. By the end of the phone call, guess what I find out? He's a broker owner looking for retirement. Guess what I did? Even though I've done this already, I said, you know what? I'm going to call Kevin Cottrell, my business partner. Let's get on a Zoom on Wednesday. We spoke on Wednesday. The guy was already like, I'm having a team meeting tomorrow. I'm going to tell my whole team about it. And Kevin was like, whoa. Hold on a second. Let's talk about this. You know, let's get you on the phone with a few other people and really validate any questions you might have and so forth and so on. The point is, that third-party validation took it to the next level as well. So 2 things I hope you're pulling from there is developing the relationship very early on, tying in what you believe you might be able to tie into the things that they tell you, right? Where do you guys connect? Where do you connect with the people that you're speaking to? Okay. And then lastly, track and follow up. Bro, listen, this is like working with buyers and stuff. If you don't follow up, nothing will happen. I don't care how great your first conversation is. It could be mind-blowing conversation. The person can hang up and say, I'm joining today. It's on. And then what happens? You don't see the application come through, and you never follow up, and you never call back. And guess what you're doing? Every single day, you're finding a new person, and a new person, a new person, a new person, instead of continuing to build conversations and relationships. If Kevin would have done that with me and had that 1-hour conversation with me and never, ever followed up with me, I wouldn't be here today. I definitely would not have been here today. But he followed up with me for not 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, for 18 months. For a year and a half, he followed up with me. So now I track and I follow up, track and I follow up, track and I follow up. Guys, there's a saying that a lot of EXP top producers use. It's called the wealth chart. I'm showing it to you right here. Use this thing. If you don't know it, just go to YouTube and type in wealth chart EXP. And there's gonna be about 30 people that tell you how to use this thing. And it's an opportunity for you to be able to track the conversations you're having so that you know whose life you're about to change next. Okay. I also use a program called the Track Zen. For me, it's super easy. It's got great workflows. I've built out a whole conversation, a lot of automation, because I want to make a lot of phone calls. And I know that if I want to make a lot of phone calls, I can leverage the automation that comes with it. Right. So does anyone have any questions for me so far? As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a website in the chat. And so you can download a copy of that wealth chart from that website there. Okay. And does anyone have any questions for me or anything like that? Somebody wrote collaborating with other EXP is great. What's the app called that you mentioned, Carlos? Called the Track Zen. I'll put a link to it in a few minutes. So that way you could see that if you're using it. Give me 1 second. It's not an app. They have an app. I prefer the desktop. I like to look at the screen and see all the names of everybody that I'm communicating with. No problem. Trisan is the name you mentioned. I already put it up there, Nick. Okay. If anybody else has any questions, I'm here. I'm happy to help. That was my piece. I wanted to make sure that you guys are really utilizing the tools that are free and in front of you, right? Like getting out of your bubble, understanding that you got to get hot and be seen, be on social media, be present in people's lives. And when you do communicate with people, it's not about putting them on the line or on your downline or anything like. It's about changing their lives. How can I change your life? How can I better your life? Why do you want to change your life? Why? And so the next person that I'm going to bring to the stage is someone that's going to give you a little bit of her story and how we were able to, how I locked her on a cruise ship for 7 days and talked to her about EXP nonstop, because she is a very, very good friend of mine, my bestest friend. And I said, it's impossible for me to allow you, and this is what I heard in EXP, it's impossible for me to allow you to commit financial treason against your family, okay? Financial malpractice against your family. So I want to introduce Jeanette Echevarria, Jeannie. She's going to come up. She's going to tell you a little bit about her story. She's going to tell you why she came to EXP and the growth that she's had since she's been with us. What's up, Jeannie?
Hey, how are you guys? Whew, this is a good big shoes to fill. To me, no, thank you guys for having me. And honestly, this is so inspiring to be able to hear everybody's story and their feedback and advice and really what they're putting out there so we can be successful, right, in our own way. So, well, a little bit about me. Let's see. I was born in Puerto Rico, raised in Orlando. Been an agent for 8 years, thanks to David, who introduced me to the industry. And, basically, he just opened my eyes to a little bit of a different world. And I think, really that changed my life. I mean, I was, working retail management and going to school for communications. And I remember getting on the phone with him one day and I'm watching him on $1 million listing on TV. And he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing going to school? He's like, go get your real estate license. And he connected me with the team leaders. And from there, it was just a lot of growth, personal growth, a lot of awareness of skill sets that I didn't even know that I had. I'm able to impact, today, I'm able to see the fruit of it all and to really see what I'm building, not just for myself, but for my family. I see it in my children. My children both have two boys, and they look up to dad. Dad is a Marine. He's a man's man, and I grew up seeing that. Of course they look up to him. And they get nurtured from mom. And they're sick, they come to me, right? And now they're both saying, "Hey, I'm gonna get my real estate license." That is huge and powerful. I'm helping my siblings. I have two of my sisters, and that are, one of them is a realtor, another one is in the process of becoming a realtor, and that is huge for me to be an inspiration in other ways, and have such an impact in the in my family and the community as well, friends. It's amazing, honestly. It's like, it melts my heart. So I've been with the EXP for 2 years. And just like David mentioned, he did, I was really happy with my team in Virginia. And, I'm a person of just like structure. So I do love changes to a certain extent, but I have to have a structure, I guess, to that point. And I was nervous, making that change, although I saw him making this move, and Jenny Gomez as well. And that inspired me to think a little bit bigger, dream a little bit bigger. But then it scared me because, I'm almost settled in and I had my team, and my team depended on me. And it's like, how am I going to do this? And, but I did it, actually about a week after I came off that cruise, I made the move. I knew that I was scared because I knew that this is going to be an opening to something much bigger, and not just much bigger for myself, for my entire family, for everybody around me. and my, my teammates and my partners. And I knew that it was an opportunity also to partner with David, who I've been looking up to in this industry for many years. And I never imagined that I would be, his business partner side by side, working and killing it in this market, and, bringing in people from all over the world, but also changing their lives as well, and giving them opportunities that they're able to think much bigger for themselves. I'm seeing partners that started with me from the bottom, and I see them now, raising their own family, and they're full-time realtors, and they're being able to support their own family with this foundation that we have been providing. So yes, EXP definitely changed my life, along with the relationships that I have with me.
So you gotta put people on a 7-day cruise sometimes to really get them going, and when you're learning on how to work with listings and buyers, what are one of the first things they tell you? They tell you, make sure that you have all involved parties sitting in front of you, because if not, you got to do double the work, right? So if there's a husband and wife in the situation, you want to sit with both of them at the same time. This is exactly what I did, except I had the whole family, guys. I had the whole family tied in on this. I sold her husband long before she had said yes.
Yeah, that is very true. Actually, my husband believed it, and he saw the vision. I failed to. He would look at me, and even my son, my father-in-law actually was like, "How can you not see it? Like, are you ready? Are you making the move?" And I'm like, "Guys, it's not that easy. Like, I can't just pick up and leave." And I mean, we did.
Until that Saturday morning when she snuck in the office and picked up and left.
Yep, and my partners in the team, they were there with me to pick up all the furniture too. No, but I'm very grateful for that. And I was talking to an agent the other day, and I do this a lot. I just build relationships, and that's something that I want you guys to think about when it comes to agent attraction. Is really talking to everybody, but really know who you are and know your strength and what you're bringing to the table, right? Your value proposition. And in this case, I do listen, like Kevin and Jean mentioned, you listen to those people. And, I talked to someone who was very new. He's like, he had a lot of limitations that I hear, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. It's so hard. It's, I'm all over the place. And I told him, the only limitation that you have is yourself. We're the only ones that are, putting like the shutters, and it takes time. And I think it takes a lot of courage for you to just open up and just go. But that's something that I try to, bring out in everyone, that, don't limit yourself. And, we're all scared, but that nervousness and that scared, within you, it's what's really going to drive you to take it to another level. And, I'm making bold moves ever since I made this move to EXP. The moves that I'm making are bold and crazy. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, should I? And, David's one to really push it too. He's like, yes, you should have already been on that seat. But I mean, during COVID, I moved my entire family to Miami from Virginia, in 2020. And, a lot of people are figuring out their business, and only, for me, it had only been a year from my move. And to know that confidently, I just felt confident that I knew my move here was going to take me to another level. And it has. My business individually, has tripled from one year to another, doing this unity that David and I have formed, and, really collaborating with the partners around us, Jenny, Crystal, everyone in our organization are such an inspiration. And, you see the fruit of it. Let me see, I'm taking notes. So you see the fruit of it. And honestly, I do want to tell you guys one thing is, for me, like rev share, I didn't get it in the beginning. I didn't. I was a producing agent. I was a leader. So I was helping my agents make sure that they were in production, as well as myself, to keep myself sustained. And I see it now. And to me, revenue share means unity. I feel like, to me, it's collaboration, it's coming together. And the result of it is that of course, the gains you get from it, right? That residual income that we all aspire to get, that is going to be the result. But you really have to believe that it is something that is unity, it is togetherness, and it's all masterminding together, providing the value proposition of yourself to your teammates and your partners, and really letting them know what you're bringing to the table. Letting them know that they're important, and they're important because if they grow, you grow, and we're all benefiting from everybody's growth and reaching their fullest potential. And so that's really, for me, the empowerment, and it's going to lead to ultimately the freedom. So
Jeannie, where do you see yourself in 5 years? We did the 135 already. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I can go into, having investment properties, right? Because that's, having a nice portfolio for myself and my family and properties. Honestly, I'm one of these people who always never really thought big. I think of like what's here in front of me, right? Or what's tangible. But honestly, going to Puerto Rico last week, going to my hometown, seeing how humble everybody lived in my hometown. I'm from this little tiny valley in Puerto Rico, guys. And seeing like my family, my relatives barely have things, means, and things that I take for granted. I have a TV, I don't even turn it on. And yet, they're all sharing one TV. You know what I mean? And, in the, what do you call it? Marcasina, like the driveway, so they can all watch it and neighbors come and watch it. Like for me, being able to reach like what Kevin or Dave was saying, 200,000 a month or something like that I can give back to my community, that I can build parks for kids to play in that are in a safe environment, to provide, food and shelter for maybe people that don't have it, clothes, I think that's going to be huge for me. And that honestly touches my heart, because I know around me, everyone who is attached to me are going to benefit, are going to be, have a good foundation. But I think for me, it's going to be maybe reaching out to the community and sharing my story and helping them get to another level as well. And seeing, a little bit of more of the goodness that they can have, that we all kind of take advantage.
I really wanted you to share that story, and I'm glad that you did, because, we could talk about wealth all day long. What you do with it is what makes all the difference, right? What you do with it is what makes all the difference. And, when there are so many people that will tell you right away, oh, plane, boat, house, this, that, and immediately your first response is, I want to go back to this little town and, and build parks and create value and maybe build education, the school, just give back to the community. That's amazing. I appreciate that so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, Jeannie, thank you for your time. All right, so the next person I'm bringing up to talk to you guys is Miss Jen Gomez. Now, let me tell you a little bit of story on Jen Gomez. So I'm sitting in one of my offices in my office at Kurz Real Estate, where we were before. And I'm struggling, guys. Like, I'm thinking about this whole thing. We're about to pull the trigger. We're about to go to EXP. And I look up and I said, God, please just give me a sign, man. Give me a sign. Like, is this something that I need to be doing? Is this the right move? Just any sign will work. And my phone rang. And when my phone rang, it was Jen Gomez. And Jen Gomez was at a different brokerage. She was at another luxury brokerage. And she said, hey, Dave, how you doing? I said, I'm good. She goes, man, quick question for you. I said, what's up? She said, listen to this. She said, what do you give to your agents when they refer you an agent? And I was like, oh, are you messing with me right now? Right? And so I said, well, at Kurz Real Estate, we give a $250 bonus, right? And so from the first two deals, the agent that they referred to the company, we give $125 each deal, and they get $250, right? It was our way of ensuring that we brought producing agents to the brokerage, right? And she said to me, man, I'm at this luxury brokerage, right? And when people call me and ask me if they're newer to the industry, I don't really tell them to come here, because first of all, there's a minimum requirement. Second of all, they're not going to get any love or training or anything like that. And so, I might just refer them to you if you're willing to hook me up. And I said, oh my God. I said, can I talk to you for a minute? Can I tell you this thing that I'm going through right now? And this possible change I might make. And she said, sure. And I broke it down for her. And I swear to you, her words were, Dave, I'm going. And she said, either I go with you or I go without you, but I'm going, because that just makes sense. Number one. Number two, if you don't do it, somebody else will. And no one here has done it yet. So make it happen. And I remember hanging up with the phone with her. And now I was like, well, I got to do it. I can't just let Jen Gomez join EXP without me. Right. And so I want to welcome Jen Gomez up. She's been in the industry maybe a year longer than I have. Thanks for coming up and talking to folks about why you're doing this and how you're doing it.
Hello, everybody. How we doing? I need everybody to wake up. I think we're starting to fall asleep. I know it's that night time, but you know what?
I can't fall asleep. I'm on Red Bull.
Oh, everybody else, wake up. Come on. I want to see some smiles in here. Let me tell you something. It truly has changed my life, that meeting that we had. And I could tell you, like he was saying, I've been in the industry for 18 years. I started at 19 years old when everybody was coming into this as a retirement job. And now here's this 19-year-old, trying to be a realtor, one success after another, praise God. But you know what? What really has resonated in my heart is what I'm going to share with you guys. And it's what I want you guys to really listen to, so that when you turn around and you have to share with somebody the gift of EXP, is simply that any other brokerage that they are at or that you used to be at will only pay you what? A commission. Through 16 years of 2 different companies, and I am loyal. I am loyal to my 20-year relationship with my husband, my lender, my title, and my brokerages. I only had 2 in 18-year careers. So for me to switch over, like he said, either we go now or we're going to regret that we didn't do it any sooner. And that's still today is my only regret. When we first started, there was only 25,000 agents. And today we're sitting at what? Close to 75,000 only 2 years later. Okay. So I still wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have been in the 10 to 12, 15 number, because the stocks have gone up so much more. We'd be sitting even prettier than we already have in just 2 years. So that alone is a huge testimony to me to see just what we've done in just a short period of time with COVID, with all these other, things in the way. But I will tell you, I only made nothing more than a commission check for 16 years of my career. And in any other brokerage, that's pretty much, unless you have some kind of profit share or other little tricks and things, there isn't anything like the revenue share. And it's doing the exact same thing that I have been doing for 16 years, well, now 18, selling real estate. I'm not selling shampoo. I'm not selling toilet paper. I am selling the same thing, real estate. Okay. And the reality is that nothing has changed. My heart helping other people, realtors helping realtors, is not a very common thing in this industry, because everybody has what? A bunch of blindfolders on. Nobody wants to help. You're my competition. I'm not going to help you. I see you in the office. I'm going to flip my paper over at the copy machine because I don't want you to see what kind of marketing I'm doing, right? We have teams like the Davis team. Hi, guys. I love to see that togetherness. Love that. Maybe you guys had a team. I don't know you personally, but maybe you had a team at another company. Well, guess what? If you taught all your secrets to these agents, your secret sauce, like I like to say, what happens the moment that they leave? They leave your team or they leave the company, and you get what? 0. So the truth is that after you've worked so hard and you've busted your butt and nobody has taught you really how to do things, because nobody has held their hand along the way, we've had to hit ourselves against the wall to learn, because nobody has helped us. Maybe a broker did, or maybe certain realtor, paired up with you. But in all, reality, social media, all these things, people aren't just giving you a platform to teach you exactly what to do. Well, I feel now at EXP that I can help my team members. I can grow my network. And I'm doing it in a way because at the end of the day, I feel that maybe one or a few may leave one day, not the team. I know they're going to leave the team. In fact, I encourage them. Get the secret sauce, become a top producer, spread your wings and fly. And the moment that you're flying, you're going to turn around and you're going to continue to be a top producer. You might even become a top leader. You're going to grow your network. You may create a team and everything. And at the end of the day, we all benefit. And that's the difference here than in any other company. Nobody else is going to benefit if you go somewhere else or if you're at somewhere else. Here, we're all helping one another and we all can share with our network, with our groups, right? Don't you have a different vibe when you're at EXP? Like you can call up somebody, like we were talking about that third party, you know, bringing them in, whether it's your immediate network or you start creating a team. Listen, my team is over 25 agents right now, and it honestly has just happened organically. I didn't even have systems or anything in place. I only knew what I had in here from what I've been doing for 18 years. And now I'm creating those systems. Well, you know what? I'm going to pull on the Davis team, or I'm going to pull on Kurz team. And I'm going to say, hey, what systems are you using? Because I want to keep growing and I want to keep helping my agents more and more. And so for me, it's honestly realtors helping realtors. And I think that if you bring that to the table and you share that with another agent that you might be doing a walkthrough at, right? We go to a walkthrough, we're doing an inspection, you've got some time to chit chat with that other realtor. Guess what? Engage with them. Talk about how your team is growing, how your network is growing, how your company is growing, because people want to be around producing people, right? They might go to an office, and when they go to the office, what are they doing? Sipping some coffee, what's for lunch, whatever. They might get a little bit of business done, but really, that's not much. So at least now there's a different environment, a different culture that really EXP has created. And really, when you talk to them, and I know it's not about the money, but at the end of the day, we don't do this for fun, guys, right? As much as I love what I do, it's in my DNA already. Like literally, they were putting IVs on me. I was giving birth and I was telling the nurse, you need to wait. I'm having a conversation and I'm actually dealing with things with an escrow dispute, okay? Who's with me with that? Who really has had the passion to have to even be, I gave birth at 7 in the morning, at 7 o'clock at night, I was already in the window trying to negotiate the deal. Real estate doesn't stop. Whether I'm on top of the boat or on top of a mountain, I'm still working, right? But now there's a different passion that I'm having in my heart. And the passion is not just the money or anything like that, even though obviously that brings a lot of blessings to our family. We can buy things, we can, share with others. But the reality is that now we're creating a retirement plan for ourselves. For 18 years, if I didn't sell, I wasn't going to make money. If I go into a hospital bed, I won't make money. And so now we are creating a plan of action long-term for ourselves, whether it's through the stocks, whether it's through the revenue share, whether it's through even as silly as charging a processing fee, guys, that other companies would charge us. And if we didn't charge it, we would have to take it out of our pocket. Anybody else have a company that if they didn't pay the processing fee or charge it to the buyer or the seller, they would take it out of your commission? Well, they did for me, $3.95. And so needless to say, now I'm still charging it and I'm still now making a bonus money. That's $10,000 in 1 year that you can easily make just $400, $500, whatever, $300. These are just different avenues that you're bringing money into your pocket for your family. And like Dave said, you're doing an injustice to yourself and those around you if you're not sharing it. And then at the end of the day, you're doing an injustice to yourself and your family if you're not actually utilizing this company to its full capacity, which means sharing it with other realtors to get the revenue share, busting your butt and working and getting that icon agent status if you can, and just honestly putting in towards the stocks. I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm doing it on my own. Listen, when it just comes out of your pocket from a commission check that you don't even see it, and all of a sudden in less than a year, you have over $100,000. Let me tell you, I never had that at another company, not a dollar more than my commission. So when I saw my stocks going up and up and up, and be able to know that I have it in case of any emergency or whatever, that's an avenue that I had never even thought of as a realtor. We don't have 401ks, we don't have IRAs, we don't have, Social Security the day of tomorrow when I retire probably. So you know what? We got to create it for ourselves. So with that said, I'm happy to be here. It's a passion to be able to help each other. And if there's anything I can do to get on a call or whatnot, I want to just offer myself to all of our network and those in this group. So
Jenny, if you could, can you share something, Jenny, man? First of all, amazing energy. I don't know which Red Bull you drank, but you got to send me the name later. And then I want you to share something that's really amazing. And so I want you to share, at the prior company, you were a part of a team.
yes.
Tell me where you're at now, 2 years later.
So I had been a realtor for 12 years and I joined this luxury company on a team. And honestly, not to say anything negatively, but it was a team name. There was no camaraderie. There was no WhatsApp chats. There was no team meetings. There was no leads. You know, people join teams because they want all these leads and stuff, but there was none of that. It was actually my same still production and just giving up a cut. And because I didn't want to just be wishy-washy and switch out, or I didn't really know any better, you know, to some degree sometimes, you know, you just kind of stay consistent. You know, you don't want change. You don't want to disrupt, you know, what people already know you as or where you're at or whatnot. But you know what? I realized that it's not about my broker. It's not about the people that, you know, I'm in a brokerage with. Those people aren't paying my bills. I love my family more. And what I have been able to provide my children and my husband with in the last 2 years is far greater than anything else that I could have done being at any other company. And that I know wholeheartedly. And that's why, to me, EXP is the only way to go, because I have now a network of over 40 something people that I have brought and attracted. And I have not poached one person. I have not cold called one person. I have not, you know, and I want to be very honest and open about that, because I haven't reached out to people. In fact, my whole entire network has pretty much either one way or another, through my social media, through an acquaintance or an activity or something, reached out to me. And that, I think, is really important. You know, obviously social media is a big thing. And I always say, you know, everybody knew I was a realtor before, but now they know I'm a damn good realtor because of social media. You know, either you fake it till you make it, or you put it out there or whatever, but you know, you're relatable and people will relate to you. And that's really where it's been for me, is the growth has just been very organically. I don't know, did I answer everything?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted people to hear that you went from having a team, or from being on a team, to having a rather large team now.
Yeah. And really, besides being on that team specifically, and again, it wasn't a team of growth. I now have a team of over 25 agents. You know, we're constantly, you know, on WhatsApp chats together. I am pouring into them what I wish somebody would have done for me.
That's
and I think when you have that mindset, you know, and again, we will benefit financially, because I'm not doing this for the love of the business. I'm doing this because ultimately I have to put food on the table for my family, right? So at the end of the day, I will get a bit, you know, a piece of the profit as I start growing our network. So we start with a team, and now those 25 are going to turn into 50, even if they just bring in one person. So I feel like everybody on this chat, even if you hit your goal of one person, whether it takes you a month or it takes you 6 months or it takes you a year, but the same way we talk about a great restaurant and, hey, Chef Adrian's is wonderful and they got a delicious dessert. Well, guess what? How are you holding back on even sharing with the person that you went to an inspection with, or the person that is your cousin who's a realtor, and you just are afraid to tell them about it? You're giving them a gift, guys. When you understand that you're not selling EXP and you're just sharing a gift, why would you not? Yeah. I feel like it's on you that you didn't do it. And then what's going to happen is you're going to really kick yourself in the butt when somebody else is the one that reached out to them, because it happened to me. I'm only speaking from experiences and everything that I've lived. I got pissed off because there were some people that ended up getting called by somebody else. I didn't follow up, even though I spoke to them about it, or I might have thought that I wanted to speak to them about it. Has that ever happened to anybody where you're like, I know, and then you just don't? Or when you pretend you texted something, you never sent it? Well, it's the same thing. Make a hit list. Now I am creating a hit list because I got burned that a few people joined that I should have been the one to reach out to them. So now, you know what? There it is. Well chart. Create a hit list. And a hit list in a positive way, guys. You know, again, we're not EXP, you know, but we just share.
Yeah.
So
All right, man. I appreciate you. I love your energy. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing light to everything, man. I really do love having you as a business partner. It's been amazing.
Amen.
All right, guys. The next person I'm going to bring up now. I started listening to these stories, and I'm encouraged to get a little vulnerable with you guys, but I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to hold that. So if you try to leave early, you're not going to hear it. But I'm going to invite Mr. Jay to go up to the stage. Jay's out in the West Coast in California. Jay's a super cool guy. And something that Jay has been amazing with is, well, first of all, is putting out massive content and then calling people that are not even associated to his organization and saying, hey, man, let's collaborate on this so that we can bring more noise about EXP and bring this gift to more and more people. He's been amazing at that. And then he's also been amazing at building a side-by-side mortgage network that has attracted many people to the EXP network. Jay, thanks for being here with us, brother.
Absolutely, thank you. It's an honor. By the way, I mean, to share the stage with, Gene, Dave, Jenny, you name it, Jeannie, awesome. So I definitely, it's an honor for me to be here today, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me. Before I begin, there's one thing that I want to add on to what Jenny just said. She said that she's not doing this for fun. Sure, but it could be fun. That's the cool thing about it. And if you really notice the whole entire time as she was speaking, that energy, that vibrance, that smile, that she want to be here and she's meant to be here. That's really just, it's very obvious. And granted, we're doing it on Zoom right now, but it just comes right through, almost as if, she was reaching out and pulling my collar right into it and saying, you see how I feel? That's pretty spectacular. So I feel the energy in the room here. I know we have some great people in here. I saw a lot of faces that I recognize, from David to Ben to Andrea. I even saw some superstars in there, Bob and Michelle Mango in the room as well. So some great names in the room. Thank you all for turning out and joining us today. For me personally, like David said, I'm just kind of go back a little bit and just give you kind of a 30-second snapshot of kind of my background. I am out of California. I am a real estate broker of about 19 years and counting at this point in time, a mortgage broker of 17 years and counting, and I also happen to be also an insurance broker of 16 years. So I have several different lines of businesses that I'm running kind of parallel all to each other. Before coming to EXP, I had a real estate office with 65 agents. So I didn't need EXP Realty. At least I didn't think I needed. And for me, I like efficiency. I like structure. I like, having a system and tools in place that I can tap into and just, make it run efficiently. I, in my opinion, I just couldn't see running a big organization and still be able to have that efficiency. But until, of course, looking at EXP. So before joining EXP, I was actually getting ready to open a RE/MAX. Yeah, a RE/MAX franchise. I was so ready to do so. This is right before COVID hit. And I realized, with COVID going on and whatnot, if I were to open my office back then, I would have dropped close to probably $500,000 for the office. And probably would have just, sat there and in the dark in the office for about 12 months because there was no operation that was allowed to, at least no business could function during that time, at least in California anyways. And so I was very fortunate that, and a kind of on an off note, fortunate that COVID did happen because it actually hit the pause button, maybe go through some reevaluation of what I was thinking about doing. And within a few months, roughly 2-3 months into the process, I realized, that was a really bad idea. It would have been a really bad idea. So I started looking around. EXP came up as one of the top few options. And, I think, unfortunately, what COVID did teach us, despite obviously the horrific situation that we're all in and have continued to be in, but I think it's getting better. But putting all that aside, what it taught us, especially in our industry, is that we were getting ready to go virtual, ready to be able to tap into the tools and systems and all the wonderful things that EXP can provide to us that we honestly didn't realize that we should be looking at more closely. At least for me, it did. It opened my eye up. And then I started looking more and more closely, started running some numbers. I realized, oh my Lord, this is even better than what I thought I had was functioning. So started looking deeper, started chatting to a few people, and before I knew it, I was with EXP. So actually, by year to date, or how long I've personally been with EXP, I'm actually probably the new kid in the block. I'm not even quite a year yet. I'm almost a year. But one of the things that really got me really excited is that within just a few short months of being associated with EXP, I was able to connect and collaborate with some huge names. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, obviously Gene was being one, David's another one. Certainly Mr. Ralph Flick, if people are familiar with who he is on this call. Scott Lewis, Sheila Federon. So right now I'm so excited because I have several projects in the pipeline with all of these people, amazing people, talented people, for me to take what I thought was a successful business and potentially 10 timing it. That's really something that I didn't really thought about when I was running my brokerage. Again, didn't need it, didn't feel like I needed it anyways. But now with the onset of what I can do here and what my team can do here, it's amazing. So much so that even in the past few recent months, I've gotten some of my own family members to also be a part of EXP. Now, it's one thing to bring your team members that you have from your existing brokerage, like David and I, who brought our team onto EXP. It's another when now you're talking to your own family member and saying, hey, I think this is a great idea. So now you know that I'm committed. I'm all in now, this one. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting to have all of these wonderful tools and structure and systems in place. But at the end of the day, just like everybody said in this call today, it doesn't do it on its own. You need to have the right engine. That engine is the person. David alluded to the fact that one of my things that I feel like I'm really, really good at is collaborating with people. And that's exactly what EXP has provided for me. And for me to be able to tap into people that I otherwise would never have an opportunity to even chat with or even see their name appear anywhere. That's huge. So now my organization is nationwide. And frankly, for that matter, now is even beyond borders, which is mind-boggling to be able to tap into that. It's a synergy that I've never seen. It's a synergy that I was hoping for. It's a synergy that I was trying to build, frankly, at my own brokerage. But then to be able to literally, whatever confine, whatever walls that I thought I had around me, it just all disappeared as soon as EXP came into picture. There is no other real estate company, including my own, that I thought I was doing a pretty good job building, that can offer what we offer here. One more thing that I want to add is that, this is something that Kevin Cottrell mentioned earlier. He says, just tell me your story. And I initially, when I was first connecting with people, I realized, I was telling people about all the wonderful tools and systems we have. But then the truth of the matter is they can read that on a webpage. They can go to YouTube and see about 400 videos that says just exactly that over and over and over, maybe different faces, different voices, but it's the same message over and over. But if you tell them your story and it's your story only, no one else can tell that and say that is your story. And if it makes sense, like what Jenny said, or David or Jeannie, it will resonate with people, because I think people do connect with people on a personal level. And especially if you are going to work with somebody and collaborate with somebody and become team members with them, I think it is important that you have to have that intimate connection with them. Yes, it is work. And no, it maybe it's not quite fun, but it can be fun. And then the other thing that I heard Gene and Dave Conord was talking about earlier in the meeting here is that talk to people. Just talk to people. I mean, I talk to my team members all the time. I have a bunch of team members right now on this call with us here, and I tell them all the time, I'm literally on maybe 5 or 6 phone calls a day. In fact, after this, I have 3 phone calls I have to connect on, and I've never spoken to them. It's my first time. But that's what it's about. It's connecting with people, getting out of your comfort zone, reaching out to people and saying hi, even when it may not be exactly something you want to do at the moment. But just do it anyways. There is a quote that I threw out early in the year last year. It goes, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's really simple. Listen, I am not a natural speaker. I'm certainly not a natural leader or anything like that, but I do feel really good about helping people. And that's what EXP has allowed me to do, is to help people feel good about it, give people a sense of, that, hey, listen, they're here, they're getting something from us, something of great value. So I enjoy helping and providing a value to people by helping them build their career. And this goes everything from the real estate, the mortgage, and even to my insurance side of my business as well. And the truth of the matter is, since being affiliated and associated with EXP, my business has grown by leaps and bounds. I mean, like by insane leaps and bounds. Every matrix that I have, and like David said, measure, you have to have stats, measure your numbers. My stats, I look at it very carefully. And it is growing. Like I said, getting people excited because you're excited, connecting with people and finding a common ground to be able to help them and let them see that you really want to genuinely help them. And that's a big part of it too, I think, is trying to make sure that there is, that synergy and that willingness to want to help people and in a sincere and genuine way too. Don't just talk it and just, make them think that, hey, listen, I'm here, but I'm not really here. I have a very simple rule. I need to know everybody by their first name. Anybody who knows me on this call will know that. I make an effort to know everybody by their first name. I actually answer my call and talk to people. I don't send them to my assistant. I have a couple, but I don't send it to them. I take the call. If you need me, I'll be there. With that being said, anybody on here, and David, by the way, David and I have become great friends. We have some projects also right now that we're getting ready to launch as well that I think will be spectacular for everybody to help, not just only for his organization, my organization, but frankly, EXP as a whole. That's pretty spectacular. I see a question here. How do you keep a balance of all the businesses? I have some really amazing people around me. Yeah, there is no possible way for me to do what I do, frankly, to all the different businesses that I operate. And I have a few other businesses that I operate that I don't even mention because it's not at all tied into real estate or mortgage or insurance. But obviously those three core businesses have a very symbiotic relationship. But I have some amazing people around me who run the operation. My insurance team, it hands off. I check up with them maybe once a week at best. On the insurance side, I do have a meeting with them, usually on a daily basis. But once I have a meeting, everybody knows where they need to go. I step back and I do my others. My focus right now is definitely EXP, is to make sure that we grow this organization. But frankly, the train has already left. And it's already on a trajectory, an unprecedented trajectory at this point in time. And I don't see an end at this point in time. I mean, 75,000 agents, Jenny said it, right? From 35 to 75 in 2 years. That's insane. That's absurd. That's not even like for real. If you think about that, you tell anybody that, that's insane growth. What is EXP going to look like? Maybe going to 2023. What if we're at 150, 200,000? With some of our leaders, that could happen. In fact, I would kind of put money in. I think it will happen. So I'm pretty excited. And I do encourage anybody out there who want to reach out to me. I'm happy to collaborate or have a conversation to see where we can help or I can help you to establish going forward.
I think it's going to happen with all the people on this phone call, because the people on this phone call are definitely interested in growing, and that's huge, man.
Yeah,
that's huge, right? You got to feed the brain, you got to train.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Jay, is that everything? You good?
I'm good, my friend.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Guys, I if you'll give me an opportunity, I'm going to make my view so I can see all the squares again, because you guys are beautiful and awesome. And for those of you that are out there, look, let me see your faces, because there's a lot of cameras that are off. I see a lot of names. I want to see some faces, but I want to thank you guys for coming out, being a part of this. It was 2 hours of your life, or maybe a little more. Yeah, wow, we did it. We're at 7 o'clock. It was 2 hours of your lives, and I appreciate you guys coming out. You don't know what this means to me and to the people that are in your organization, to see you here, to see you wanting to grow, to seeing you wanting to be better in your business, to seeing you wanting to help this company grow. I'm going to be a little vulnerable with you guys, because I want you to know that it's not an easy task. I know we're up here and we're saying just make the calls, do the things, you know, we're giving you the tips and the tools and the things necessary. But guys, it's not an easy task. If you remember what Dave Conord said, it was 40,000 phone calls to get 6,000 meetings to personally recruit 2,000 people. That's 40,000 calls to get 2,000 people. And he's able to do that because he knows his numbers and he knows his ratios, right? And he knows how many phone calls he needs to make to get X amount of appointments, to get X amount of people to be a part of his organization, a part of his movement. And so the message I want to give you guys is, even though it's not easy, you could never, ever quit. You can never, ever quit. You have to just put your head down and keep pushing forward. I'm going to tell you guys a little story about me. And this is something that I don't normally share, but I feel like if you gave me this much of your time, I feel like I need to give you something back. And I'm going to tell you, when my ex-partner and I closed down Kurz Real Estate, we moved to EXP Realty. We and fantastic benefit for them and move them over. We're talking 200 people here, folks. Okay. And we were doing one-on-one meetings, group meetings. We were having seminars. We were doing all kinds of stuff to make sure that when we made this move, everyone understood that this move was great for all of us. Right. And we transitioned, and out of the 200 people, about 180 agents came with us. And that's amazing across any feet, because most brokerage transfers won't happen like that. And then we had about, let's say 20 decide, you know what, this is not for me, which is okay. And they went off to other brokerages. So now we're down to 160 agents, right? And then COVID hit. And I was sitting on a couch and I looked at my wife because I had just gotten in the Harley Davidson map. Okay. Harley Davidson's real smart. Every year they send you a map of all the cool routes around the country. And I looked at my wife and I said, listen, we can't leave the house. We can't go to the office. We can't do anything. Let's go for a ride. She said, where do you want to go? I said, let's loop the country. I kid you not. My wife looked at me and said, sure. Now, I ride a Harley, I ride a Road Glide. My wife rides a big bike. She rides a Fat Boy, okay? And we bought the gear we needed on Amazon because all the stores were closed, right? And we packed the motorcycles up and we disappeared for 6 weeks and we rode around the country. We went from Miami all the way to Niagara Falls all the way to Seattle, Washington all the way to Huntington Beach, California. And then I felt like Forrest Gump and I was like, yeah, I don't want to go anymore. And my wife was like, we're done. I was like, we're done. I'm shipping the bikes home. We're flying home. It was late June. It was about to be the beginning of July. And the last leg of the trip was through the deserts of Texas. I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do this part. But as a part of this story, when we got to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, we spent some time driving through the mountains in Pigeon Forge. It happened to be a super cold, rainy, nasty day. So a ride that should have been like a 3-4 hour ride ended up being like an 8-hour ride. And it was miserable, guys. It was exhausting. It was miserable. And we got back to the cabin and I looked at my wife. I said, look, tomorrow we just got to chill. We can't ride. It's Memorial Day weekend. I said, we got to rest it up because we got long rides ahead of us, right? And the next day, of course, we wake up, it's like 80 degrees outside and completely beautiful, right? But our muscles are like tight and, messed up. And I said, you know what? Great opportunity for us to hang out at this really cool cabin in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It's beautiful weather. It's Memorial Day weekend. Let's get some barbecue and let's catch up with work. And I opened up my laptop and I found an email. And this email was from an attorney. And apparently I was being sued. Now, I want you guys to understand this. Many times I've mentioned my partner and I coming over and having these conversations and everything else. My partner sued me, claiming he had no idea we were going to close down Kurz Real Estate and no idea we were going to EXP. Now I want you to understand what happens to somebody when I'm sitting down reading this and I look at my wife and we're in the first tiniest leg of the longest trip that we've ever taken on a motorcycle. And I go, I don't know what to do right now. So now we're calling attorneys, trying to figure out what to do. I called him. I was like, what are you doing? And when this happened at the very same time, the courts issued an injunction against me, which meant that I could not work. Now I want you to hear me out. I just closed down my company. We just moved to EXP. COVID hits us. And now a court is telling me I can't work. And for 8 months, while COVID somehow enhanced the real estate industry, I could not work. My real estate team crumbled, my business crumbled, my income crumbled, and my 160 agents turned into 55. Because I was out of sight, out of mind. I couldn't pick up the phone. I couldn't do anything for my organization. Long story short, 8 months later, the injunction was lifted because we were able to prove the insanity behind the lawsuit. And it still, that was like November 2020. It still took me a couple months to get out of that funk and fight my way through to getting back in action. Okay, here we are, just a little bit over a year later. Our team is operating in Miami, Orlando, Virginia, and Tampa. We have 22 agents on our team. We've already, in January, we did a quarter of the business that we did in all, in January, we did a quarter of all the business we did last year, in January alone, which means by at the end of Q1, we're gonna rock last year's numbers. I've been able to partner with an amazing person and we're killing it right now. And guess what? The agent attraction piece, because I've never stopped being the person that I am, because I truly care about people's growth, went from 55 and we're breaking 100 now. All right. I tell you guys a story. This is the first time, I swear to you, this is the first time I've ever publicly said this story. My wife's shaking her head right now. And I'm like shaking on the inside because I don't know, right? This is not the best story to tell people, but I wanted to tell you guys a story because I want you to know that there is no opportunity for failure here. There's no opportunity for you to fail. The only way that you can by dictionary fail is if you quit. So don't quit. Take action in your life and business. Do what you do. Look, this was so impactful in my life. I'm actually writing my 3rd book right now, and it's titled Fuck Failure. Appropriately. I want you guys to know that you cannot fail if you do not quit, that you will have hiccups through this entire thing, that people will tell you no, that is okay. People will tell you that this is like the worst idea on the planet. Guess what? That is okay too, because although we are the most amazing company that I've ever been a part of in the 16 years that I've been in real estate, it is not for everyone. It is not for everyone. And that is okay. But it's for you. And if you put in the work and you meet the people and you care more about them than you do the money, the commission, the this, the that. If you do it for the people, if you do it for the reason, right? I used to tell my team all the time, if you're helping somebody buy a house and the reason you're helping them is because you want them to achieve their goal, the money will be a consequence of your actions. Because consequence is not a bad word. It's just a reaction to the action you put in. So guys, I leave you with that. I appreciate you guys so much for spending 2 hours of your lives with us. And definitely to all the speakers that came up to the stage and really spoke it out from the heart. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm wishing all of you guys massive success. If you need anything from us, please let us know. I want you to get off this phone call. I want you to get off the Zoom. I want you to hang it up. I want you to stand up and I want you to dance your ass around the house And I want you to be super excited about what you're about to build for yourself, for your family, and for the people around you, and for everyone you invite to this. All right, guys. Love you guys. Be safe out there. Y'all take care.